All right, math people, today we are going to be talking about volume of rectangular prisms. Volume of rectangular, very long word, prisms. Okay, a prism is a three-dimensional shape, meaning that we're going to be talking about three different pieces of this shape that makes it three-dimensional. It has a length, it has a width, and it also has a height or depth. And so it makes it 3D. Like a box. Okay, that's why they kind of look like boxes or fish tanks. So real quick, let's identify our different pieces here. Well, first, actually, let's talk about our formula. Last year in 5th grade, you learned that the volume of a rectangle prism was the length times the width times the height. And that is true. Okay? That is not it's not false, okay? But in 6th grade, we actually have a different formula here. We actually use volume equals big B times H. And that big B stands for the area of the base times height. Now what's really cool about this is it's the same as the formula that you used last year. The only difference is that we put these two together and create the area of the base. So to find the area of the base is a rectangle. So to find the area of this shape right here on the bottom here, that is a rectangle. The area of that would be length times width, which gives us our original formula that we learned last year in 5th grade. Okay, so that's why it looks different, but it actually is just the same thing. We just kind of took it a step further. So if you look on your formula chart, the formula is going to say V for volume equals a big B times H. Okay, or you may see it written like this. Either way, same thing. All right, that big B is that area that we just talked about, the area of the base. Okay, so it's length times width. We just kind of combined it together and made it into this big B that stands in our new volume equation. So let's go ahead and identify real quick the different pieces of our rectangular prism. So first of all, when it talks about the length, remember the length again is going to be how long the shape is. It is going to be this very long side here. All right. This would be considered our length. Our width is how wide the shape is. Okay, how wide the shape is. So our width would be considered like this. This tells us how wide our shape is. And we know that on a rectangular prism that several of these sides are going to be equal. So for example, this width is going to be the same as this width, which will be the same as this width, which will be the same as this width. Okay, same thing with our lengths. Okay, this length that we already drew here is going to be the same size as this one and this one and this one. So they could put a number anywhere, and you know if it's talking about this long side here, that they're talking about the length. And then the last dimension that we need to talk about is the height, so how tall this shape is. And this right here, oh, that didn't change my color. Sorry, give me one second. I'm going to go drastically different here, actually. We're going to go with pink, so that way it doesn't mix up colors here. This would be considered our height. And again, same thing, we're going to have several heights all over this rectangle because we are going to have several of the same size. Okay, we're going to have several congruent sides here. So this right here would be our height. So lots of things that we have to look at, lots of places where they could put numbers that we have to identify. All right, but now that we've identified the different sides of our rectangular prism here, let's go ahead and get some numbers plugged in and start working on how do I use my formula. So my 6th grade formula, again, is volume equals big B times H. Okay, big B meaning the area of this base right here. Well, to find the area of this base, the first thing I would be doing is doing length times width. So remember that that big B is just your length times width. Okay, so let's go ahead and identify all of our pieces here. All right, this is representing our long side here. So this is going to be the length of our rectangular prism. We have our width, so how wide this shape is, and then we also have our height, which is how tall this shape is, the depth, all right, how tall this shape is. So let's go ahead and I'm going to put little labels here. It makes it a whole lot easier if you label your sides, gets you all organized, and then you don't have to worry about what was that number, I don't remember, was that the height, was it the width, I don't know. Makes it easier if you label it all. So let's go ahead and plug in these numbers. The first thing I have to do is find big B. Well, big B again is going to be length times width. Well, my length is 8 times my width, which is 2. What is 8 times 2? It is 16. So my big B right here is going to equal 16. And then now I just have to multiply it times the height, which is 5. So let's do some scratch work over here to the side. 5 times 16, that's 6 times 5 is 30. Carry my 3. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 3 is 8. And so our volume is going to be 80. Now let's talk about units for a second here. I just multiplied inches times inches. So this guy right here is actually inches to the second power, okay, inches squared. And then I took my inches squared and multiplied it times another set of inches. So how many total sets of inches do we have here? We have we have 1, 2 right here, and now we have 3. So our units are going to be inches. Sorry, had a minor glitch there. It's okay. Our units is going to be inches to the third power. Okay, that's because I just multiplied inch times inch times inch, all 3 of them. So inch times inch times inch equals inch to the third power. There are 3 of them being multiplied together. So our units are a little bit different than when they are with area. They are to the third power. Alright, so the other type of problem that you may see is when they give you the volume and they want you to find one of the other pieces, one of the other dimensions are missing. So if we take a look at this rectangular prism here, let's identify what they have told us. They told us how long this side is, so they gave us the length. They told us how wide the shape is, alright, and they also said V equals 100 centimeters to the third power. Oops, that guy's supposed to be centimeters. So they gave us the volume. So they gave us the answer. They're like, hey, we're missing something. So if I have the length and I have the width, what am I missing? Okay, I'm missing how tall the shape is. I am missing the height. I don't know what the height is. And when we don't know what the height is, we always, if we don't know a number, we put a letter instead. So I'm going to just put an H. Okay, so H for our height. We don't know it. So let's go ahead. Let's rewrite our formula out. Okay, it's good practice. Remember that big B is length times width. Okay. We have our volume, so we know that V is 100. Our big B, let's see, we have our length. Our length is 10, and our width is 5. So we know that big B here is going to equal 50 centimeters squared. So we know big B is 50, all right? But we do not know our H, okay? So what is 50 times H? Okay, that's 1 H. We multiply it times 50. That gives us 50 H's. So we have 50H. Now, when we learned how to solve equations, we just saw, literally, that this 50 and this H are stuck together with multiplication glue. The way to undo multiplication is to do the opposite operation, okay, the inverse operation, which is dividing. So I'm going to divide this side by 50 because I want that H to be alone by itself. I want to know what H equals. If I do that to one side of my equation, I have to keep my equations balanced, and so I'm going to do that to the other side. Doesn't make sense to do it to one side, okay, and not do it to the other. All right, so 50 divided by 50 is 1, all right, leaving my h all alone, 1h, there it is, and 50 divided by 100 is 2, all right, and for our lengths, our widths, our height, our units that they were using were centimeters, so we are going to have 2 centimeters. It is not centimeters to the third power. It's not centimeters squared, all right, because it is a one of my side measurements. So it is just normal centimeters. Now remember, guys, that when we go to solve these equations, you can also think in your head, okay, what does h have to be that when I multiply it times 50, it gives me 100? Well, 50 times 2. 2, our answer, okay? Gives you 100. So that's another way to solve those equations, just using some number sense. Alright, well, this was our quick kind of tutorial over how to solve for volume. I hope it helps answer some of your confusion or your questions. Please continue watching videos and checking Canvas every day for any updates. And have a great rest of your day. Alright, talk to y'all later. Bye.